Hello everybody, hey, it's Ken Faulkner, and I'm ready to do a video. Well, we'll see. I've been trying to get this one out. Some days you're just not quite as clear-headed, for me at least, and I keep doing it. Plus, I got my landlord's doing some serious construction over in the neighbor that just moved out in that apartment, so there's going to be some noise in the background. But anyway, I'm going to run through this again. I definitely was like getting bogged down. Got to move through these collection videos. I've been kind of taking knives that I have a brand that I bought a lot of knives from. And last week it was Kaiser. This week it's Civivi. But I added in the Sencut and the WE, so I actually ended up with more of this knife as far as the overall company is concerned than the Kaisers. But so there's quite a few here to go through. So I gotta move, and I gotta try to stay on it. I'm kind of going back in time, probably about 2019. Started really picking up the collecting of pocket knives. Before that, I had fixed blades, all kinds of swords, axes, more fantasy stuff, and I had some pocket knives as well, but I really got into it back about 2019. So that's when I picked up this Backlash. This is one of the early purchases as I was starting to get into pocket knives. I didn't really know that much about it, but man, I really nailed it when I bought this one because I really like this knife. Maybe not the materials. It's your D2 steel. You got your peel ply carbon fiber handle, but I didn't really know anything about that at that time. I hadn't really watched a lot of knife YouTube quite yet, and that's where I've learned so much stuff. But yeah, the clip, it works great. I know a lot of people don't. It's thin and it's kind of, yeah, you could easily bend it or whatever, but I've had this for like five-ish years, and it's stood the test of time. I didn't know about a hollow grind, but man, this thing's really hung in there. You can see how easily this thing cuts through paper. It just really slices. Very good knife geometry, edge geometry, because I'm not the greatest sharpener in the world. I can get it sharp, but it takes a while. But yeah, this one's just stays sharp pretty well. D2 steel also, it kind of holds an edge. I haven't really had any problem with any corrosion on here. I've had it for a long time, and so they managed to pull this one off very well. Cool knife, cool looking knife, feels great in the hand. It's flipper only, but I didn't even know about middle finger flicks back in those days. Just snappy, little drop, shut. Good access to the lock bar. I would recommend getting one of these knives, but I think they stopped making them. So if you have an opportunity to buy one on the secondary or wherever, maybe Blade Binge, I don't know. Got that forward finger choil, full size handle, good size knife. I really like the Backlash. If something happened to this one, I'd be sad that I couldn't replace. I'd be super sad, even though it's a budget knife. It's not super expensive. Moving on, when my girlfriend started getting excited about me getting excited about knives, she used to say, "You never buy anything for yourself." Of course, now she kind of, maybe she thinks twice about the fact that she encouraged this. But still, she is a big part of my collecting because she supports me. She buys knives for me, and this is one that I'm throwing it around. This is one that she bought me early on in my knife journey. We got the Caborsha wood, and on that blacked out look. The aesthetics on this is so cool with the hardware, the clip, the blade, and this one's probably 4 years into my collection, and it looks brand new. It really looks nice. Elementum was super, because when I first started getting into knife YouTube, I was watching like Blade HQ, because they were showing all the new stuff, and it was just all about what the new thing is and what's hot right now. And I was buying stuff off of Amazon, like this guy here, a little bit cheaper, and she's like all going, "Hey, well, what is it that you'd like to have? Your birthday's coming around, or Christmas, or whatever. What would be a good knife to get that you just don't really, you're not willing to pay the money for? And it's funny saying that now, because this is like, let's see what they go for. Elementum, like $63. Nowadays, it would be like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I don't even have to think about that. That's just the way it's gone. It's really crazy. Over time, I mean, my price range has definitely increased, but this is still a good knife, a little bit smaller than I would normally get nowadays. It's very thin, though, and easy to carry in the pocket. It's just great, knife for EDC for sure. And so I was given this by my girlfriend. And then we'll fast forward a couple of years. She went to Blade Show with me. That's the only Blade. Well, she went to the one that was here locally, where we didn't have to fly anywhere. But she went to Atlanta with me, made that big commitment, and I think she had a good time. And they were all about the donut, the dessert warrior knives that year. They had a whole bunch of different ones. And she actually bought this one for herself. This is the first knife, I believe, if my memory's correct, the first knife that she ever bought. Because I bought her a couple knives, but she actually spent her money on this one. And you can see it's still the same great knife, but it's got that crazy donut stuff with that crazy blue blade. And she likes it. It's part of her collection. A little bit smaller collection than mine. She's got a couple of in this that are hers, and you'll hear about that. This is one from a little bit further back, early on. This is the Odium. I remember I was in Florida visiting my folks. I live in California, and they decided to retire. It's mainly my dad, because he loves boats. And Florida, if you like boats, Florida's the place to be, as far as I could tell, because it's almost like a car there. I mean, so many people have them. And anyway, I was visiting them, and I don't think I brought, back then I wasn't like I am now, where I'm packing knives in my suitcase. I don't think I brought a knife with me. And I was looking around for a shop, but where they lived didn't really have anything like that. So like the last day, I was kind of like missing my knives, and I ordered this thing like off of Blade HQ or something. And so that when I got home, I would have this thing coming fairly soon afterwards. The Odium, I believe this is a Ferrum Forge design. I was noticing that C is a little sideways, so I got to figure out what happened with that. I think these are captive pivots, so there's usually like a little nub in there that locks into place. It must have not really lined up well when I took this apart last time, so I wasn't paying attention. Got to pay attention. Little tiny knife, definitely, but I could still flick it out. It's got that good slot. Ferrum Forge knows how to design those. This has a good forward finger choil, so I can get all the way on with all four fingers. So, when there's a small knife and it's a small handle, not so happy with this, really happy with this. It feels really good. You got plenty of blade there for most cutting tasks, so it's not really a concern. And it's a cool looking knife. It's got that same kind of general black and cabochon wood that the Civivi has, or Civivi, the Elementum has, and it's a cool design. So that's one that I've had quite a while. This is another one here with the Damascus pattern. And Civivi does a good job with it. It's kind of like mystery steel. When they show it advertised, they say, "Oh, it's Damascus." They don't really tell you what it's made out of most times. Maybe there's some way to find out. You can do some research. But anyway, this guy, this is the Relic, and man, yeah, I like it. It's very neutral handle, just straight back. Not much going on. A little bit of cut back here to be able to get to the liner lock. Works pretty well. I mean, it's not super accessible, but enough so that it's easy to get to, really. This is that crazy knife that came out, and it's a gimmick, I know, but look, it's got this. What is this? It's a tweezers. So it's kind of like that Swiss Army knife effect. And yeah, I saw that. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. This is early on, and great Micarta. You know, I love Micarta. I talk about that all the time. It just feels really good. This is just really good Micarta. And the only problem with this one is kind of weak, even though I don't really feel it so much when I'm flicking it because it only has the flipper tab. It works pretty well, but it's a weak detent. And I think I did adjust this. I think I went in and pressed over the lock bar a little bit to make it a little stronger, because one day I had this in my left. I used to carry, you know, you start getting into knives and you start wanting to carry more because you always feel like, man, there's these knives here and I haven't carried them in a long time. You feel bad or you want to carry them. So I started carrying one in my right front pocket, which is great because you keep it at the edge of the pocket, and then this blade is right up to the edge. And then I have one in my left pocket, but with it in it over on the side of the pocket, you know, down the lower portion. This blade is here, and I was reaching in my pocket for something, and this thing came open a little bit. And if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. And pulled out a little bit of a bloody mess on my hand. So I kind of learned from that point on the left side, I carry it in my back pocket, and then it's flipped around like this with a clip on the back side. And then I have it up against the side and the blade's on the side of the pocket. So that's a little trick I learned. But that was one thing about, and I kind of learned that lesson about detents, weak detents, because of that. Elisha Isham has a bunch of different stuff from Civivi. I got two of them here. I got to remember which one's which. Okay, I got the Plethoros. Excuse me. And I got the... What's the other one? Because they're always crazy names. Where is it? The Plethoros and the Anthropos. Plethoros and Anthropos. Can I tell the difference between them? One's D2 and the other one is D2. So they're both the same material. I think, and if you're more of an expert than I am, this is the Anthropos, I think. But you can always correct me in the comments if you want. And I think, because I'm more familiar with that name, and then, or I'm sorry, Plethoros. Plethoros, I think that's the Plethoros. I think this is the Anthropos. Anyway, after the passing, you know, I was always a fan. I was like, I still don't have one. Obviously, it would be out here, but I wanted to get the Arrakis. It was way too pricey for me when I actually had one in front of me that I could have bought at my first blade show I went to in Long Beach, close by here. So anyway, and now that I have that in my price range, it's just super hard to find. Maybe someday. That'll be a great video if I ever do get a chance to get it. But you can see these two have that design language that Elijah Isham has. Very cool. Definitely got that triangle cut out. One's clearly longer than the other, and it has a little bit more of that signature handle style. This is still got that kind of deep well here for your forward your index finger, and you can kind of go out here too. But yeah, less of the real. From what I've seen from the knives that I've collected from him, this is more signature of his style. But I did want to try to get some of the ones, because obviously we're not going to be seeing any more, unfortunately. So those two. So my guess is Plethoros and Anthropos. And I'll probably look it up after the video, and I'll put some text up here saying I was right or I was wrong. So you'll know. Okay, guys, moving on. This is, I think maybe this might have been the next one that I got for myself. I bought this for myself Tiny little knife, and I knew it was tiny. It's like you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. I knew the knife was small when you took it. This is back early on with Ben Banters was Peterson, Ben Peterson from NAFS now. He was putting out these knives, and he had the Banter, and I knew that was small, and they had the baby Banter, and I would look at them and say, man, it's kind of cool. I kind of want one of those in my collection. But people were talking about it, and I was looking at the comments and saying that the baby Banter actually had better ergos. And this is why, that forward finger choil. Even with this tiny blade. I mean, I was talking about the odium being small. Yeah, it's this one is dwarfed by the odium. And even with it being this small, I can still squeeze on that pinky when I use that forward finger choil. And I still have a little usable edge there. So I bought this at, I think it was a Blade Show West, where Ben was there at his booth for NAFS and was selling this knife. And of course I had to get the blue because he loved that blue. And it's a very cool color, and it has the "What is up, guys?" I remember I used to hear that all the time on their videos. And anyway, I got this one. Had it for the collection for a while until my girlfriend saw it. And you can kind of guess what happened there. But that's cool because she traded me a Damn Design Wraith for this thing, and I couldn't be any happier, and she couldn't be any happier. So that's the kind of deal that you want with a knife trade. And yeah, so she likes this knife. It's in her collection. These two are hers, and the rest are mine. But we all kind of call it one big collection. She can use any of my knives she wants, and I could use any of the knives she has. Next, let's go with this guy here. This is one that was always talked about and was a popular design, the Riffle. And just one that I just skipped over. Hadn't really, been too excited about. I don't know who designed this one. It almost kind of looks Ferrum Forgy, but it could be somebody else. I'm not sure, but it's been around, and it's the name you hear about quite a bit. It's a great knife, and I never really bought this knife. I won this one. I got this from Apex Alchemy, starting to do lives. I think that's where he was starting to give stuff away. And there's a small group. It was great because there's just like maybe 11 people in the giveaway. Those are the great odds. Nowadays, most giveaways, you got hundreds of people, and the chances of winning are so slim. Unless it's one of my giveaways. Keep an eye out, because I think last time I had like 33 people. So that's the way I loved it back in those days when there was just like less. And Apex Alchemy was a smaller channel back then, but they've definitely grown. They're doing great stuff. Billy over there and oh gosh. Why can't I? Wow, man, I'm horrible. Billy and Courtney. I got to say their names together, because like they're almost like one person. Billy and Courtney. Man, my memory's so bad. Anyway, Billy and Courtney are doing a lot of heat treat checking with, they got a tester, and it's just blowing up. They're doing great. Billy's making knives now. You got to check it out if you haven't checked it out. He's got some great stuff going on. And this one I won on his channel on one of his lives, I believe. Just staying on this bottom row. All of these next ones are fairly recent. This was bought at a Blade Show when it first came out. It was before it was available. That's one thing about going to a Blade Show is that you can buy knives that you're just hearing about that they're coming out, but you can't buy them on like a website or anything like that. But you can get them at the Blade Show. And this is the mini Praxis. I always wanted to get a Praxis because it's just a beast of a knife. Just supposedly, I obviously still don't have one, but I did get this mini Praxis because it was $30. $30. Even in my cheaper days, when I was like not wanting to spend more than $50, $30 is a great price. And this is a really cool knife. I mean, for a small knife, again, forward finger choil, it is awesome. Mini Praxis, very nice knife. It's EDC. Definitely. Definitely a good secondary knife. Throw it in that back left pocket. Doesn't get in the way. Awesome knife. G10, just basics. You know, G10, what's our steel on it? Mini Praxis D2. Basic stuff. I'm not seeing any rusting on it, I don't think. Nope. No rusting on it. Looks beautiful. Great knife. All right. I'll save this one for last as far as the Civivi. This guy here, the Vision FG. Yeah, it is an excellent. Well, I don't know if I guess this is maybe not the FG one. This is. I know there's one that was made by WE, and with that one, if you pull this up, it would like swing out and stuff like that. I never actually. I've handled one of those, but I never actually had one. But I always liked that the whole different lock thing. This is what the super lock. Anyway, I bought this one at a blade show as well. And it's got the forward finger choil, but you don't really need it because you can get the whole thing here. It's great blade shape. I like this kind of, I don't know, reverse tanto, you can call it. Almost like a sheepdogish blade, but it still goes up, so the tip is available for use. Just a great design. Sneck. And maybe it says on here. Designed by Sneck. And yeah, it's just super fidgety. You got thumb studs if you want to use them, or you can just kind of do the swing in and out thing. I do like to use the thumb studs though. And thumb studs, you know, I think I prefer a hole type, especially for the middle finger flick. But for the thumb studs are the king. And I can still get a good flick out this way. And this is a great knife. I'm not a big speed hole guy. If you noticed in my collection, don't have tons of knives with speed holes. There is one that's coming up over here that does have them. But just, you know, I could easily overlook that because of the cool factor of this knife, the Vision. So that's the Civivi version of that knife. All right, we're getting through it. This guy's a cool knife. And a cool story. This year's Blade Show, I went. Now, this is the Brazen. Ooh, did that snap? That was awesome. I got to do that again. The Brazen. Awesome. Yeah, it's a cool. I mean, the Tanto. I'm a fan. I know there's, you know, when I show Tantos, I get like a mixed bag. So it's one of those blade shapes that some people like and some people don't. You got the sharpening thing where you got two different edges. You got to handle them like they're two separate blades when sharpening. But it doesn't have a problem for me. I like the kind of compound grind there where it drops down a nice thin blade tip. Great knife. And this is not just a normal everyday Brazen, because if you look, if I can get it to focus, it says, come on, focus, will you? Yeah, it's not going to focus. One of these days I'll get a great camera that just like zooms right in on that thing. It does say Kronos, if you can't see it. So I was at Blade Show. It was like the third day, and I'm just walking around, just, you know, still spending a little bit of money, but I'd pretty much burned it all up. Usually the first day, most of the money's gone. Second day, you kind of finished out what you planned on spending. And the third day, you just run into deals that just can't turn down. And this one is the Brazen from Kronos. So it's kind of a collab between the two of them, where they did this special handle with that cool kind of, you know, like a chain link fence kind of looking cross-hatched type pattern. It's really cool. It's super nice. I hope it comes through on the camera. It looks great. That pop of blue. There's like 3 guys there at the booth, and they're super enthusiastic about what they're doing. They sold me. I mean, you know how some people are just great at selling, and they really sold me on this one. I was excited, and I just couldn't pass it up, even though I had already spent all my money. It does have a glass breaker. I'm not a big fan of that. Never have used a glass breaker on a knife, but maybe someday I'm going to need it, and maybe I'll have this knife and I'll be able to use it. But yeah, it's just not something that I'm normally going to use. But still, it's not sharp enough that when it's in the pocket, it's like ripping into your skin or anything. And I don't know if that's going to make it less functional or what. But yeah, anyway, it's there. Great shape. So yeah, Kronos version of the Brazen. And I really like this knife. And it has a cool sound. The Brazen. Oh yeah, I like it. I don't know. I may be silly, but I'm having a good time. All right, so we'll just run through. This was last year, not this year, but last year's Blade Show. I talked about this knife a couple times where, man, they were showing it, and I was just in love with it, and I was just buying other knives, you know, spent all my money, and I went back and said, okay, I'll go ahead and buy it. And I went over to the Civivi table where the Sencuts are, and it was sold out. So I ended up picking it up later. Not as big of a button lock fan, but this one is just a beautiful knife. I love that red aluminum. It just, the color pop, it's just awesome. Feels great in the hand. Nice size, nice long knife. What do we got that compared to it? So yeah, it's that full size knife. I'm a big fan of Brazen. Yeah, all these knives. I really like this size knife. Anyway, Sencut Serene. I think it's just a beautiful design. The button works really well. Haven't had any problems with it. I think it's haven't had any of that problem, but I don't really do a real hard test on that stuff. Great jimping up here, thumb studs. Obviously, this one, even though it doesn't really have a real detent, man, it pops really well. I don't know. Sometimes they can just do that button lock magic. I've dropped this one a couple times, and you can see a couple little dents on it. Fortunately, I'll probably never give this away on one of my giveaways because I just really love this knife, because I'd feel bad about giving away with the damage done. And that is the downside of aluminum handled knives, but man, I like that knife. We already talked about the Actium, so we'll go into the Watuga. Another button lock. I guess they're not too expensive to make since they're putting a lot of button locks on there. And this one's got great action too on their Sencut budget brand. I bought this one as a giveaway. This is one of the ones that they had sitting off the side at a real cheap sale price. And I picked up this one, and I picked up an Actium. I already gave away the Actium that I bought. And I picked this one up, and then when I got it home, oh man, the Micarta, the blade shape. Yeah, I may end up actually giving this away eventually. It's got the little fuller here that works well both sides. Great action, full size knife. Little finger choil for maybe not totally full size, but you can get in there. It's a great knife, and I convinced myself not to give it away, but this may end up being in one of the giveaways as one of my used knives that I want to pass on. So we'll see how that goes. You never know what's going to happen. And this guy was my first and only WE knife so far. I don't know. WE knives at the price range, for whatever reason, they just still to this day don't really float my boat. This one, I got a sweet deal. It was a used knife, and I got a sweet deal on it, and it is really cool. I mean, it's got speed holes, but it also has great milling in the titanium. Just an awesome knife. So this one is the Torgon. And before I got a message on Instagram that this was available for sale, I had never even heard of the Torgon. It's 20 CV blade. I did a video on this one, talked all about it. But yeah, it's a cool knife. But for some reason, WE knives at that price point, I think if they were more often, and you can find WE knives that are down in the $200 range. But I think if they were more often $200 in that range, I think I would feel more excited about buying them. But when it gets up in the $300 range, for some reason, And I know there's lots of people that love these knives and buy them all the time and all that. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I mean, I could easily be the one that's wrong, but you know, your feelings are your feelings. What you like and what you don't like. It's just what it is, And anyway, I'm super happy to have this knife. But yeah, I don't know that there's going to ever be a time when I have a bunch of different WE knives. There have been a few over the years that kind of said, oh, this has got to be the one. And then I just kind of fizzle out before I actually buy it. Anyway, that's it, guys. Long video, as usual. That 30-minute mark seems to be where it is. But these collections will start getting smaller because I've already hit the larger segments of my collection. So I'll be able to make these out a little bit shorter as I go through it. And, once I've gotten through all these, I'll find something else to make videos about. Or I'll start buying more knives. Who knows? We'll see. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoy it. I love telling stories about my knives, going back through memory lane. And, I hope you see how much I love what I do, how much I enjoy knives. And I hope you do, too. I hope you enjoy it. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.